Welcome back, folks. Today we are going to take a look at scientific notation. We are going to go from scientific notation to standard notation, and from standard notation back to scientific notation today. But before we can go back and forth, we need to be able to talk to each other, and we need to get a good idea of what scientific notation actually looks like. Scientific notation looks like one number, a decimal, and one or two other numbers times 10 to a power. It is a shortcut for writing very large or very small numbers. And it's not a big deal. You just have to kind of pay attention to where you're putting your decimal. So we are going to jump right into this. What we want is the 6 and 1 or 2 zeros times 10 to some power, and that power is going to tell us how many times we need to move the decimal point. We want the decimal point right there. To get it to be right there, I would have to move this one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the right. When I move it 5 jumps to the right, that means I need 6.0 times 10 to the negative 5th. When you're going from, we'll put it over here. Standard to scientific. Moving a decimal to the right means you have a negative power. Moving a decimal to the left means you get a positive power. So I'm going to go use it on 2. I'm going from standard form to scientific form. Standard form is the form you're used to seeing numbers in. A decimal, a number with a bunch of zeros behind it. That's what we call standard form. Now remember, for standard form, we want this to look like a 5 and then a 4 and a 0. And we have to find the power that would go up there. Well, right now, my decimal is sitting behind that last 0. I want it between the 5 and the 4. So it's going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. Left. Well, 6 jumps left means I get a positive power. So this will become 5.4 times 10 to the 6th power. You could write 5.40 times 10 to the 6th power, and that would be okay too. Your exponents would always be huge. If I go look at 3, Remember, we want the 6 and a decimal point. Well, right now, the decimal is behind the 0. So this time, I just have to move it 1 jump left. So that means my scientific notation is going to look like 6.0 times 10 to the first power, because we only moved it 1 jump left. We'll look at one more, and then we'll look at what happens when you go from scientific to standard form. For 6, I want my decimal to come all the way over here behind the 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 jumps to the right. Jumps to the right means we have a negative power. So this is 2.0 times 10 to the negative 7th. Now let's look at going from scientific to standard form. Eight is an excellent one to start with. That's an odd way to write standard form, but we'll go with what they wrote. They have 71 times 10 to the third, which is a little unusual. Normally we write a number and then a decimal, but we'll go with it. Times 10 to the third. This is like multiplying by 1,000. So that means our number is going to get way bigger. So in order, that's what I have right now. To make it bigger, I would have to multiply, or I would have to move my decimal 3 places to the right, and I'm going to fill in those empty spaces with zeros. So this is going to become 71,000. So when you're going from scientific to standard, a positive exponent means jump to the right. A negative exponent means jump left. So if we go and take a look at, we'll do 15. This time I have a negative exponent. So I'm going to take my 0.15 and I want to jump my decimal 2 units to the left. I'm going to fill up my empty spaces with zeros. So I get 0.0015 for my standard form. Now you will have to plug some of these into a calculator, so I want to make sure you know how to do that. So I'm going to split my screen. And let's say you're asked to actually do some math with one of these. And maybe you need to do 1.67 times 10 to the 15th divided by 2.31, I don't know, times 10 to the 6th. So I'm going to go over to Desmos, and I'm going to start with my fraction button because that makes it so much easier when I just have to go in and fill in the pieces. I'm going to plug it in like it looks. 1.67 times 10 to the 15th divided by 2.31 times 10 to the 6th. So it gives it to me in standard form. A lovely real number specimen right there. Let's change it to scientific form. Scientific form, I want my decimal behind the first number. So I want it right there behind the 7. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 jumps. So I want 7.23. I rounded it up to 3 because the number behind that second 2 is a 9. That means I round the 2 up to a 3. Times 10, and I forgot the number of jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so that's how we would write our answer. I will caution you, should this be a multiplication problem where you're multiplying two numbers in scientific notation, put parentheses around them. If I were doing the same problem, but it was multiplication, take the extra 2 seconds out of your life and make it look the way it's written. So there's our answer in scientific notation. Again, should you have problems, feel free to stop by my office. I am more than happy to help anytime I can. Until next time.